guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, then I hope you won't be too disappointed. I'm not even gonna try saying that line anymore. It's too difficult for me to say. Today I will be doing my November wrap up. This is going to be very disappointing for those who saw my October wrap up, because in October I read like 7 or 8 books, and this time I read 3 books with 1 DNF. So let's get right into that. So the first book that I read in November was Where Dreams Descend by Janella. I already have a full review on this one, so if you want to see the synopsis for this book and all of the pros and cons, then you can go watch that. I will have it linked down below. But in general, I love this book. It is beautiful. I can't wait for the sequel. The next book that I read in November was the one and only Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. If you know me, you know that I love this book so much. This was a reread for me, so obviously this is nothing new. I went back in to tab some things. Do I really need to say that much about it? Probably not. But I also have a full review on this one if you want to watch that. Now, let's get into the actual new book that I read that I haven't done a review on, but I really want to do one because it is so good. And that is The Bridge by Konigsberg. So let me try to run the synopsis as briefly as I can, because there's a lot of things going on in this book and I want to save most of that for the review. And before I get into the synopsis, I just want to say that this is like a really big trigger warning for suicide. So if that is something that you do not want to hear about, then I will put a timestamp somewhere here if you want to skip. The Bridge is about these 2 kids, Aaron and Tilly, who go to the George Washington Bridge to jump off of it. But then Konigsberg takes us into 4 different alternative timelines where Tilly jumps, Aaron doesn't, Aaron jumps, and Tilly doesn't, both of them jump, and neither of them jump. I heard about this book in a really inconvenient way, but I'm so glad I did because it is one of my favorite books now. It made me cry, but I will save that for a full review because there's so much to unpack. We don't have time for that. Now let's talk about my DNF for November, and that is Truly Devious by Maureen. I stopped reading this book at 180 pages. Wait, that's not even halfway. What in the world? I thought I got like halfway through the book. So my friend recommended Truly Devious for me, and I thought that the idea of it was really interesting, but then it slowly just got worse for me, and I got to the point where stuff starts to pick up, at least from what I've heard from Goodreads, because I actually went on Goodreads to find spoilers so I wouldn't have to torture myself by reading the entire book. But let's talk about what Truly Devious is about. Truly Devious is set in this really prestigious high school type place. It's more like a college, but for high schoolers. It's basically for really intelligent people, and it was built by this really eccentric celebrity guy, and this was in 1936. So we are actually going back and forth between timelines in this one, so it goes from present day to 1936 and so on and so on. But then the guy that created this entire thing, his name is Mr. Ellingham. One night Mr. Ellingham's daughter and wife go missing, and this anonymous person that goes by the name Truly Devious sends a message to him saying, "Give me all of your money and I will return your daughter and wife to you." And being the guy that he is, he does it, and he still doesn't get his family back. And then all of a sudden there's just these murders that happen around the campus. In the present day, we are following a girl named Stevie who is really invested in true crime and serial killer stuff, and she goes to Ellingham Academy to try figuring out what happened in this case because it never ended up getting solved. It's not a good thing to say that this was the part that intrigued me and I was really interested in, because I feel like that's wrong to say, but the beginning starts off with a little girl named Dottie who is like in 4th grade. She's kind of the odd one out of these students because usually you're supposed to be a junior or senior when going to this school, but she was an exception because she's really intelligent. But then she goes to this like secret dome hiding spot that they put in the campus. She goes there and then ends up getting murdered. That's what kind of drew me into the story. It just got slower as time went on. I guess I just never got to the half of it. I would actually still recommend this book if you're interested in murder mysteries, but for me, this was just too slow. Alright, so I want to talk about the books that I'm currently reading and the ones that I want to read later on in December. Let's talk about my school book. The book that I had to read for school was Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. I don't really have that much to say about it other than I do not like Holden Caulfield, who is the main character of this book. I don't find him relatable at all, and he is very much misogynistic and disgusting and rude towards other people, and I don't like him. So yeah, that's really all I have to say. I finished it last night. Yep, that's all I have to say for that. And the book that I'm currently reading is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. I don't have the hardcover dust jacket on this because the cover was messed up. It was the last book at the Barnes & Noble I had to go to for this one, so don't mind that. I love the hardcover as it is. But if you want to see what These Violent Delights dust jacket looks like, it looks like this. These Violent Delights is a Romeo and Juliet retelling, but instead of being set in whatever time period it was set in, it is set in 1920 Shanghai. And instead of just two families that are really immature and just can't get over their not explained feud, the feud is between gangs in China. Just so much more interesting than Romeo and Juliet. And the Romeo and Juliet in the story are Roma and Juliet, who are the heirs to each gang. And so far it's really interesting. I'm more than halfway through it. That's exciting. Yes, I really enjoy this book. I like Chloe Gong's writing style, and there's just a lot of violence in this one. Not violence as in gangs fighting each other so much, but it's more like, because there's more to the story than just Romeo and Juliet like being in love and all these other people are fighting. There's like this monster that everyone's kind of speculating about. There's a lot of things happening. I don't want to spoil it. When I finish it, I will review it probably. The book that I want to read after These Violent Delights is Dry by Neil Shusterman. If you do not know, my first review ever on this channel was for Scythe, which is Neil Shusterman's like really popular YA series. And this one, just like Scythe, is a dystopian. So you basically have this California drought, and then all of a sudden water just vanishes, and then everyone starts to scramble for more water, and they eventually turn into zombies, I think. But I really enjoyed Scythe and the entire series, so I'm going to give another one of his books a try. And finally, the last book I'm going to talk about, it's not really one that's on my TBR just because it's not a really large book, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time reading it, but it is The Lives of Saints by Leigh Bardugo. So many Leigh Bardugo books lately. I'm in love with her writing so much. I think it's just amazing, and I love her entire universe that she's built. Lives of Saints is kind of like the Bible for her Grishaverse characters, specifically the ones that are invested in the saints, which are like gods. And it's all these short stories about the saints, and it has really pretty artwork in it. And by the way, if you haven't heard the news, Ben Barnes, who's playing the Darkling in the Netflix series, he is doing an audiobook recording of this, and it's gonna come out like next week, I think. So I'm really excited for that, even though I'm probably not gonna listen to it. But for those who do have Audible and audiobook sources, I hope you enjoy reading that because he has an amazing voice. And that is all for today. I hope you enjoyed that really weird video. And also, what in the world's going on with this light? And why is it so dark? Anyways, hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.